first speaker is Cindy Sheehan, and Cindy is an internationally renowned peace and social justice activist. Sheehan's oldest son, Casey, was killed in Iraq on April 4, 2004, and many came to know about her and her work when she set up a peace camp near the Fowl Ranch of then President George W. Bush in Crawford, Texas, in the summer of 2005. Since then, Cindy has traveled the world working with fellow activists demanding peace and working with others to help create a world that is peaceful and more economically secure and equal. Ladies and gentlemen, Cindy Sheehan.
Again, good afternoon, everybody. Good job. That was good. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me, and it gave us an opportunity to do also events in San Diego and Los Angeles, so we're very happy to be here. And I'd like to thank Pat Alviso and Jeff Merrick from Military Families Speak Out. First of all, for taking over Military Families Speak Out so it wouldn't go away like the national organization had planned. Pat and Jeff stepped in to take that organization that's very important because we still have wars going on. We still have military families that need to be supported, and we have military families who are against the foreign policy of the United States that need some place to connect with each other. I was one of those before my son was killed, and I didn't know how to connect with people who felt the same way I did. I thought I must have been one of the only Army moms who was against a war. Wars up. So it's very important, and I thank Jeff and Pat for keeping that going. I also appreciate when we were collected, all of this rogues gallery of progressive speakers over here in Orange County behind the orange curtain need to stick together. When we were all in the room getting our instructions, except on how to turn on the mic, Barbara Nelson, who is the chairperson, I appreciated her words as we might not agree with each other 100%, but let's learn how to work together on the 95% of the things that we do agree on. And with some people, we might agree 100%, we might agree 90%, but I think 95% is a really safe estimate of the things we agree on. And so, in the program, it says that I'm going to talk about my journey. And the name of my talk was something about the two-party system. And so I entitled my talk, The Status Quo Stagnation and How to Break It. But then it also says in the program I'm going to talk about my journey from being a housewife and mother to peace activist. And I thought, housewife and mother, was that written in the 50s before I was born? You know, my husband and I were partners in working. I worked, we had children, we did housework together. So the program doesn't tell the whole story of what happened before my son was killed. But when Casey was killed, like I said, I was living in Vacaville, California, another conservative area. I would really go toe-to-toe, what's more conservative, Orange County or Solano County? I don't know, it's a close call. And being a Democrat, I thought that I was pretty radical. But in Vacaville, I was. In Orange County, you probably are too. But I heard in 2004 was the presidential campaign. I heard John Kerry say over and over and over again, we need to fight the war smarter. If you elect me, I'll send more troops to Iraq. And I thought, why am I supporting this person? I'm just supporting him because he's not Bush. But I came to find out that that's not enough. to support a candidate just because they're not a Republican, or on the other side, to support them just because they're not a Democrat. And so when Barbara said about the 95% of things we agree on, I thought about Occupy, and about how the Occupy movement got percentages, talking about the 99% and the 1%. How they got that into the mainstream dialogue. Where here in the United States, we've been propagandized our whole lives that we're a classless society, right? And we're taught to put ourselves into stratifications, to put ourselves into pigeonholes. But the Occupy movement said 99% of us are together in the struggle, right? And we see little thingies going like this, the little Occupy thingies. And 99% of the people, they're not all progressive. They're not all Democrats. We have to reach out in commonality in our community to find those, identify those things that we agree on and work together. Now, I left the Democratic Party in 2007 because I went to all of the leading Democrats between the time I camped out in Crawford, the time they got majority in Congress, and then they voted for war funding. They voted for George Bush's surge. And I finally had it. I said, you don't reflect my values. I have principles that you don't have. And so I left the party, and then in 07 and 08, I ran against Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco as an independent. And people are like, oh, how shocking, Nancy Pelosi is such a wild-eyed radical. She's not. She's a member of the 99%. You and I, if you're a Democrat, if you belong to Peace and Freedom, or if you're a Green Party member, or a Decline to State Independent, we have more in common than you have with Nancy Pelosi or Barack Obama. If you're a Democrat, we have more in common than you do with the leading Democrats. And so the uniparty, I like to call them, even if we had two parties that were in complete opposition to each other, that wouldn't be enough for a vibrant democracy. We need many, many parties so we can all feel like we're represented, like our voices are heard. And here, like I said, we agree. But the 1% wants us divided. They want us fighting. They want us to be in opposition over wedge issues so we can't notice that they're stealing everything from us. I'm so tired of politicians like Jerry Brown. I'm so tired of politicians from the top down all over telling us that in order to save the economy, we have to give up more. It's always the 99% that has to give up more. Well, we say tax the corporations, tax the wealthy, distribute that wealth evenly. Education is a right, not a privilege for the 1%. Healthcare is a right, not a privilege for the 1%. Housing, food, free of GMOs, it's organic, it's grown by farmers, not by big agri. Empty our prisons. Put that money into our communities. Thank you.